In the desolate expanse of Talos, a silver spacecraft glides silently down, its doors sliding open to reveal a solitary figure emerging onto the endless sands. She is Lyana, a warrior princess with blue skin that shimmers under the sun, almost luminescent. Her clan, the formidable Valari, has forsaken her, leaving her completely exposed to the relentless elements of this alien world. Here she stands, a striking image of beauty and strength, yet painfully vulnerable beneath the blazing sky. The twin suns of Talos beat down mercilessly, their scorching heat searing Lyana's bare skin. She squints against the harsh glare, her iridescent blue eyes scanning the horizon. The desert stretches infinitely, a sea of golden grains rippling in the sweltering wind. Lyana's chest rises and falls as she takes in her first breath of Talos's thin atmosphere, her lungs struggling to adjust to the foreign air. Raising a hand to shield her eyes, she feels her fingers tremble, unsure if it is from fear or the oppressive heat. The realization of her predicament crashes over her like a wave. She is utterly alone, stripped of everything she knows, cast out by those she once called family. Her mind races, searching for answers. Why had they abandoned her? What sin could warrant such a fate? The silence in her head is deafening. The constant hum of the telepathic link that connected her to her people since birth is now absent, leaving her feeling hollow and incomplete. Desperately, she reaches out with her mind, seeking any trace of that connection. "Hello," she whispers, her voice cracking from disuse and thirst. "Can anyone hear me?" But only the wind whispers back, and the sand crunches beneath her feet. With hesitant steps, she moves forward, her legs wobbling as she adjusts to Talos's gravity. She feels exposed in a way she has never known. Once a revered and feared warrior princess, she now stands naked and alone on a foreign planet. As she walks, something stirs within her, a power she has always sensed but never fully comprehended. It pulses through her veins, electric and alive, responding to her fear and isolation. She gasps as arcs of energy ripple across her blue skin, small bolts of lightning dancing between her fingers. "What is happening to me?" she murmurs, both awed and terrified by this manifestation of her power. Unbeknownst to Lyana, she is not as alone as she believes. Hidden behind a nearby dune, a group of human mercenaries watches her with keen interest. Their leader, Cayen, peers through high-tech binoculars, a predatory grin twisting his scarred face. "Well, well," he growls, his voice low and gravelly. "What do we have here?" Beside him, Eira, a former soldier with haunted eyes, shifts uncomfortably. "I don't like this," she says. She looks different, powerful. Cayen chuckles, devoid of humor. "That's exactly why we're going to take her. Imagine what someone would pay for an alien like that." Eira frowns, her gaze fixed on Lyana's distant figure. There's something about her that ignites a long-buried protective instinct. Cayen's grin widens, revealing pointed teeth. "And if she resists," he asks, "we'll show her why we're the most feared mercenaries in this sector." As the mercenaries prepare to move in, Lyana continues her tentative exploration of her surroundings. She kneels in the sand, marveling at its gritty texture. Everything about this world is alien, from the harsh sunlight to the foreign landscape. Suddenly, she freezes, a chill racing down her spine. She senses the unmistakable feeling of being watched. Slowly, she rises, her body tense as she scans the dunes around her. Her warrior instincts, honed through years of training, kick in. "Who's there?" she calls out, her voice gaining strength, carrying the hint of authority she once commanded. "Show yourselves." For a moment, there is silence. Then, like wraiths emerging from the desert itself, the mercenaries appear, cresting the dunes with their weapons trained on her. The sun glints off their armor, a patchwork of scavenged technology from countless worlds. Cayen steps forward, attempting a charming smile. "Well, hello there, beautiful. Looks like you could use some help." Lyana narrows her eyes, instinctively shifting into a defensive stance. "I need no assistance from the likes of you," she replies, her voice regal despite her vulnerability. Eira watches the exchange, unease growing as she senses the power thrumming beneath Lyana's skin, the air around her shimmering with energy. This is no ordinary alien, and certainly not one they should threaten. Unfazed, Cayen takes another step closer. Now, don't be like that. We're offering you protection. This planet isn't safe for a lovely thing like you. Lyana's laugh is sharp and humorless. Protection? You think I need protection from you? The air around her crackles with energy as her hair begins to float, as if suspended in water. Eira can no longer remain silent. Boss, she warns, we should back off. Something's not right here. But Cayen, too focused on his prize, gestures to his men, who begin to close in on Lyana. Last chance to come quietly, sweetheart. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Lyana's eyes flash, literally glowing with an inner light. I am Lyana, warrior princess of the Valari. I bow to no one, least of all to creatures as base as you. With those words, the power within her surges forth, the ground trembling beneath their feet. Sand swirls in defiance of gravity, and the mercenaries stumble, caught off guard by the sudden shift. Eira reacts instinctively, diving toward Lyana, not to attack, but positioning herself between her and the other mercenaries. Stop, she shouts. Can't you see she's too powerful? Cayen snarls, raising his weapon. Traitor, I'll deal with you later. Men, take her down. Chaos erupts as the mercenaries open fire. Energy bolts sizzle through the air, but bend around Lyana, deflected by an invisible shield. She raises her hands, arcs of blue lightning shooting from her fingertips, sending mercenaries flying. Eira finds herself fighting alongside the alien princess, her combat training kicking in as she fends off her former comrades. We need to get out of here, she shouts to Lyana over the din of battle. Lyana nods, her eyes scanning the horizon. Suddenly, they widen in fear. No, she whispers. No. Eira follows her gaze and feels her blood run cold. A massive ship descends from the sky, its sleek design unlike anything she's ever seen, radiating power and menace. The Valari, Lyana says, dread filling her voice. They've come to finish what they started. The arrival of the Valari ship changes everything. Realizing they are outmatched, the mercenaries begin to scatter. Cayen, however, sees opportunity where others see danger. That ship, he growls, eyes gleaming with greed. Imagine the tech we could salvage from it. Eira grabs his arm. Are you insane? We need to run. But Cayen shakes her off, already rallying his remaining men. This is the score of a lifetime. I'm not letting it slip away. As the Valari ship lands, its massive form casting a shadow over the battlefield, Lyana turns to Eira. Fear and determination fill her eyes. Why did you help me? She asks, her voice soft despite the chaos around them. Eira shakes her head, struggling for words. I don't know. Something about you. I couldn't let them hurt you. A small smile touches Lyana's lips, the first genuine emotion Eira has seen from her. My people seek to destroy me. They fear the power within me, a power I am only beginning to understand. I cannot let them succeed. Eira nods, resolve solidifying within her. What do you need me to do? The ground shakes as the Valari ship's massive doors begin to open. Lyana's eyes narrow, her body tensing for battle. We need to reach the ship's core. It's the heart of their technology, the source of their power over me. If I can destroy it, I might be free of their control forever. Eira hefts her weapon, a grim smile on her face. Breaking into an alien warship to destroy its core sounds like a suicide mission. I'm in. As they prepare to make their move, Cayen and his remaining mercenaries charge toward the Valari ship, weapons blazing. The ship's defenses activate, energy beams lancing out, cutting through the mercenaries' ranks. Lyana and Eira use the chaos for cover, sprinting toward the ship's entrance. As they run, Lyana's power surges, creating a shimmering shield around them that deflects stray shots and debris. They reach the entrance just as a squad of Valari warriors emerges. Eira's eyes widen at the sight of them, tall blue-skinned beings like Lyana, but with an otherworldly grace and ferocity marking them as elite soldiers. "Stand aside," the lead Valari commands, his voice resonating with authority. "The aberration must be destroyed." Lyana steps forward, chin raised defiantly. "I am no aberration, Zarek. I am the future you fear." Zarek's eyes narrow. "You are a threat to the very fabric of our society, Lyana. Your power is too great, too unpredictable. The Council has decreed that you must be eliminated for the good of all Valari." "The Council is wrong," Lyana retorts, her voice rising. "They cling to old ways out of fear. I could usher in a new era for our people, one of true freedom and power." As they argue, Eira notices the energy building around Lyana. Her skin glows brighter, pulses of power radiating in waves. The Valari soldiers sense it too, shifting uneasily. Zarek raises his weapon, a sleek device humming with energy. "Enough talk. Surrender now, or we will use force." Lyana's response is a burst of energy that sends the Valari soldiers flying backward. "Run," she shouts to Eira, already sprinting into the ship. They race through corridors of gleaming metal, alarms blaring around them as Valari soldiers pour out of side passages. But Lyana's power keeps them at bay, creating barriers of energy that block their path. Eira struggles to keep up, marveling at the advanced technology surrounding them. "How do you know where we're going?" she shouts over the din. "I can feel it," Lyana replies, her voice strained. "The core is calling to me." They round a corner and find themselves in a vast chamber. At its center floats a pulsing orb of energy, tendrils of light reaching out to connect with the ship's systems. "The core," Lyana breathes, eyes wide with awe and fear. Eira takes a defensive position by the door. "Whatever you're going to do it fast. We got company coming." Lyana approaches the core, her hand outstretched. As she nears, the energy within her resonates with the core, creating a harmonic hum that fills the chamber. Suddenly, Zarek's voice booms through the ship's communication system. "Lyana, stop. You don't understand what you're doing. Interfering with the core could destroy not just this ship, but tear a hole in the very fabric of space-time itself." Lyana hesitates, her hand inches from the core's surface. She looks back at Eira, conflict evident in her eyes. "Don't listen to them," Eira urges. "They've already shown they want to destroy you. You have to take this chance." Nodding, Lyana turns back to the core. "I'm sorry, Zarek, but I can't live in fear any longer. I have to embrace who I am, even if it means risking everything." With a determined breath, Lyana presses her palm against the pulsing core. The moment she makes contact, a shockwave of energy surges through her, igniting every cell in her body. Waves of blue light radiate from her fingertips, spiraling into the core, intertwining with its brilliant tendrils. Visions flood her mind, memories of her people, of battles fought and won, of the beauty of her homeworld, Valera. But with those memories come the weight of their fears, the stories of how power can corrupt, how those like her have fallen before. "No!" Zarek's voice booms again, his authority laden with desperation. "Stop this, Lyana. You'll bring destruction upon us all." Eira stands firm at the door, her weapon raised as more Valari soldiers flood the chamber. "We have to hold them off," she shouts, taking aim at the oncoming soldiers. But Lyana can't afford to focus on them now. She feels the core's energy syncing with her own, filling her with raw power and clarity. The world around her shifts as the core reveals itself. Not just a source of energy, but a living entity, an embodiment of her people's collective consciousness. She sees her mother's face, a stern yet loving gaze that implores her to abandon this reckless path. Tears threaten to spill from her eyes as she remembers the laughter of her siblings, the warmth of their embrace. "I'm not abandoning you," she whispers, though the weight of her isolation presses down hard. In that moment of connection, Lyana sees the truth. The core is not just a weapon, it is the essence of Valari existence, their history, their power, and their future. And yet it is also a prison, binding those like her to the past. She takes a deep breath, feeling the energy surging through her, fighting against the constraints of tradition that have held her people captive. With renewed resolve, she channels the core's energy into her own. The power radiates outward, and she feels the weight of her decisions crystallizing within her. This isn't just about survival. It's about redefining who she is and what her people can become. "I will not be a weapon," she declares, her voice reverberating with authority. "I am the change we need." The energy explodes from her fingertips, a brilliant blue shockwave sweeping through the chamber. The soldiers are thrown back, their weapons disabled as the energy pulsates and swirls like a tempest. Eira braces against the power, her heart racing as she witnesses the sheer force of Lyana's resolve. "Keep going." But Zarek stands his ground, eyes blazing with fury and desperation. "You're a fool, Lyana. You think you can control this? You'll destroy yourself." He raises his weapon, preparing to fire. In an instant, Eira lunges forward, placing herself between Lyana and Zarek. "You don't have to do this," she shouts. "You can choose a different path." The chamber thrums with tension as time seems to slow. Lyana's heart pounds as she feels the life force of her people coalesce within her. She senses the fear and pain radiating from Zarek, a reflection of her own struggles. "You fear me because you fear change," she realizes, her voice calm but firm. "But I can't let fear dictate our future." With a deep breath, Lyana reaches deeper into the core, letting it guide her. The energy surges again, enveloping her in a cocoon of light. "I will break this cycle," she declares, channeling all her focus into a singular, decisive strike against the core. "For myself, for my people." As her will collides with the core, a blinding flash envelopes the chamber. It's a cascade of pure energy, a force of creation and destruction. Eira shields her eyes, but she feels the heat of it, the power pouring from Lyana, as if she is merging with the very fabric of the universe. Zarek's defiance crumbles under the weight of the energy, his weapon faltering in his grasp. The shockwave radiates outward, engulfing the Volari ship in a glow that seems to pierce the veil of reality itself. "What have you done?" Zarek screams, horror etching his features. "You'll tear the ship apart." But Lyana feels only clarity as the energy flows through her, swirling and coalescing into something new, a vision of what Volari could be, untethered from the chains of fear and tradition. The core responds to her, a powerful ally in her fight for freedom. It pulses in sync with her heartbeat, an echo of hope. Eira stumbles, feeling the energy wash over her, igniting her own spirit in ways she never thought possible. "Lyana!" she cries, her voice carrying a mix of fear and exhilaration. "Don't lose control. We need to contain it." "I'm not losing control," Lyana responds, her voice a melody woven with power. "I'm taking it back." The light intensifies, a dazzling display of blue and white, swirling and twisting like a storm. The ship systems begin to overload, alarms blaring as lights flash ominously. "We need to leave," Eira shouts, urgency clawing at her throat. As the chamber begins to shake, Lyana's focus sharpens. "Help me," she pleads, and Eira rushes to her side. Together, they form a bond, the energy pulsing between them like an electric current. "Let's stabilize it," Eira urges. "Channel the energy into a singularity. If we can compress it, we might avoid a total meltdown." Lyana nods, eyes fierce with determination. She feels Eira's strength intertwine with her own, creating a tether that allows them to control the surging power. On 3, Lyana counts, her heart racing. 1, 2, 3. Together, they thrust their hands toward the core, focusing their combined will into a single point of energy. The light condenses, forming a brilliant orb, a pulsating heartbeat of potential. The ship shudders violently, metal groaning as it fights against the force they're conjuring. "We're losing it," Eira gasps, the strain evident in her voice. "We have to push harder." Lyana grits her teeth, drawing on every ounce of energy she can muster. Stay with me. We can do this. The orb fluctuates, flickering as if on the verge of collapse. With one final surge of will, they push through the pain, channeling the energy into a singular release. Now, Lyana cries. The core implodes in a flash of blinding light, the shockwave erupting outward like a supernova. Eira and Lyana are thrown back as the chamber explodes with energy, the walls buckling and collapsing around them. They tumble through the chaos, the very fabric of reality seeming to bend and warp. In that moment, everything slows. The air thickens, the light coalescing into brilliant hues of blue and gold. Then, in a heartbeat, it's gone. Lyana wakes to the sound of waves lapping against the shore. She blinks against the sunlight, filtering through the leaves of palm trees, swaying gently in the breeze. The air is fragrant with the scent of salt and flowers, a stark contrast to the metallic odor of the ship's interior. Dazed, she sits up, glancing around. Eira, she calls, panic lacing her voice as she scrambles to her feet. Here! Eira's voice responds, and Lyana rushes toward it, her heart racing. She finds Eira sprawled on the sand, breathless but unharmed, her eyes wide as she takes in their surroundings. What happened? Eira gasps, pushing herself up. Where are we? Lyana surveys the beach, the horizon stretching infinitely. I think we made it out. She breathes, all mixing with disbelief. But the ship? Eira frowns, shaking her head. I don't know. I think we destroyed it, but we're alive. We're free. Lyana looks out at the waves crashing on the shore, the vastness of the ocean stretching before them. It is beautiful and terrifying. What now? She asks, a sense of uncertainty creeping in. Now, Eira replies, a fierce glint in her eyes. We find a way to harness your power. We may have escaped, but your people will not stop looking for you. And if they do find you, Lyana interrupts, determination igniting within her. I won't let them. I'll prove to them that change is possible, that I can lead us into a new era. But I need your help, Eira. Together, we can show them the truth. Eira nods, her expression resolute. I'm with you, whatever it takes. As the sun sets on the horizon, casting golden rays across the water, Lyana feels the weight of her journey ahead. With Eira by her side, she knows she can face whatever challenges await. The bond between them, formed in the heart of chaos, will be their strength. Together, they will forge a new destiny, one where power is not a weapon, but a beacon of hope. In the distance, the stars begin to twinkle, each one a promise of the battles yet to come, the allies they will seek, and the truths they will uncover. The future of Valera lies before them, unwritten and waiting. The following days were a blur of exploration and adjustment as Lyana and Eira acclimated to their new surroundings. They found themselves on a remote island, its lush vegetation teeming with life. The gentle sound of waves crashing against the shore became a soothing backdrop to their shared sense of purpose. Yet, beneath the serenity lay an undercurrent of urgency. Time was not on their side. After several sunrises, they set up a makeshift camp near a freshwater spring, a natural oasis amidst the thick foliage. Eira proved to be resourceful, fashioning tools from the abundant materials around them. Lyana, however, felt the weight of responsibility heavier than ever. The absence of her people pressed on her heart like an unyielding stone. One morning, as dawn broke over the horizon, Lyana sat at the water's edge, her reflection shimmering in the surface. Her blue skin glistened in the soft light, and she ran her fingers through her long, flowing hair, feeling the remnants of her past swirl within her thoughts. She knew that she had the power to change everything for her people, but the enormity of that task loomed before her like an insurmountable mountain. Are you ready? Eira's voice broke through her reverie, pulling her back to the present. Lyana turned to see her friend standing behind her, a determined, we need to start training. You have powers beyond anything we've ever seen, and we must understand them before we confront your people. Lyana nodded, feeling the familiar surge of energy within her. You're right. I can't just rely on instinct. I need to learn how to control this. Eira led her to a clearing in the forest, where the trees parted to reveal an open space bathed in sunlight. Here, let's see what you can do, she encouraged. Start small. Focus on harnessing the energy from the core. Taking a deep breath, Lyana closed her eyes, grounding herself in the moment. She could feel the pulse of energy coursing through her, an electric hum resonating in the air around her. Memories of the core flooded her mind, igniting a flame of determination. I am Lyana, warrior of Eira, she whispered, feeling her resolve strengthen. Opening her eyes, she extended her hands, palms facing outward. With a concentrated effort, she summoned the energy, visualizing it as a swirling orb of blue light between her hands. The air around her crackled with potential, and a shimmering sphere began to form, pulsating with her will. Eira watched, her eyes wide with admiration and awe. That's it. You're doing it. The sphere expanded, becoming brighter and more defined. But as the power surged, Lyana felt it slip away from her grasp, flickering like a dying flame. No! Focus, Lyana, Eira urged. Frustration welled within her. I can't hold it, she exclaimed, feeling the energy dissipate into thin air. Try again, Eira encouraged, stepping closer. You can't expect to master it all at once. Remember, it's part of you now. You have to connect with it, not just control it. Lyana closed her eyes once more, letting Eira's words wash over her. She envisioned the energy as a living entity, one that wanted to connect, to coexist. With a deep breath, she reached out, allowing the energy to flow through her rather than forcing it into submission. Gradually, she felt the sphere stabilize, its brightness steadying as it floated between her hands. Yes, keep it steady, Eira cheered, her voice laced with excitement. Lyana opened her eyes, her heart racing as she gazed at the glowing orb. I can feel it, she exclaimed, wonder sparking in her iridescent blue eyes. It's alive! The sphere pulsed in response, growing slightly larger, sending small tendrils of energy dancing around them. Lyana laughed, the thrill of creation coursing through her. But just as quickly as it started, the orb flickered, and Lyana struggled to maintain control. Breathe, Lyana, Eira urged, her voice steady. Remember the connection. Embrace it. With renewed focus, Lyana closed her eyes again, letting her breath guide her. She visualized the energy intertwining with her essence, the power flowing in harmony with her heartbeat. Slowly, the orb regained its brilliance, the light illuminating the clearing. This is incredible, Eira gasped, taking a cautious step closer, entranced by the display of raw power. You're a force of nature. But just as Lyana began to feel triumphant, a sudden gust of wind swept through the clearing, disrupting her concentration. The orb flickered dangerously, and she gasped as the energy crackled and sputtered. No, she shouted, panic rising within her. Eira instinctively took a step back, her eyes widening. Focus, Lyana. Don't let it go. With a deep breath, Lyana pushed back against the chaos, her will igniting the energy within her. I won't let you fall, she declared, pouring her essence into the orb. In a burst of brilliance, the energy stabilized, forming a dazzling sphere that hovered between them, casting shadows across the forest floor. Eira's face broke into a wide grin. You did it. You really did it. Yeah, but, Lyana began, her expression shifting. What if it's not enough? What if I can't control it when it matters most? Eira stepped closer, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. You're learning, Lyana. Each day, you grow stronger. But you can't do it alone. You have to trust in yourself and in your power. That's the only way we'll succeed. Lyana took a moment to absorb Eira's words, letting the warmth of her encouragement sink in. I'll try, she replied, determination reigniting within her. Suddenly, the tranquility of their training was shattered by a distant rumble, echoing through the trees. Lyana's heart raced as she exchanged a concerned glance with Eira. What was that? Let's check it out, Eira suggested, her voice resolute. They navigated through the dense foliage, drawn toward the sound. As they approached a ridge overlooking the coast, the sight before them took their breath away. A fleet of ships was anchored offshore, their sleek forms glinting ominously in the sunlight. The Cayen, Lyana breathed, her heart sinking. "They've come for me. Can we hide?" Eira asked, scanning their surroundings. "Not from that many," Lyana replied, dread pooling in her stomach. "We need to prepare." Eira nodded, her expression fierce. "We'll have to move quickly. We can't let them find us unprepared." Lyana turned back toward the island, determination igniting within her. "No matter what happens, I will face them. I won't let fear hold me back again." As they made their way back to their camp, Lyana's mind raced with plans. She had to learn to control her powers, to harness the energy that flowed through her. The time for hiding was over. That evening, under a sky filled with stars, Lyana and Eira sat by the fire, the crackling flames illuminating their faces. "What's our next move?" Eira asked, her eyes flickering with determination. Lyana pondered for a moment, her thoughts racing. "We need allies. I can't face the Cayen alone. We need to find those who will stand with us." Eira nodded, the fire reflecting in her eyes. "And we'll need to train. You have so much power, Lyana. We can't underestimate the dangers that lie ahead." With a newfound sense of purpose, they began to strategize, each idea building upon the last. They would venture into the nearby settlements, seek out those who had grown disillusioned with the Cayen, and gather a coalition. As they mapped out their plan, Lyana felt a spark of hope igniting within her. This was her moment to reclaim her destiny, to reshape the future of her people. No longer would she be an outcast. She would become a beacon of change. The night deepened around them, the stars twinkling like distant allies. Lyana felt their warmth against her skin, a reminder that she was never truly alone. Together, she and Eira would forge a new path, one that would lead to a confrontation with her past and a battle for the future of Eira. But in the shadows of the trees, unseen eyes watched, waiting for the right moment to strike. The battle was only beginning. The first light of dawn crept over the horizon, casting long shadows across the island. The faint rustle of leaves and the distant cry of seabirds were the only sounds as Lyana and Eira finished their preparations. Supplies were packed, weapons honed, and makeshift armor forged from scavenged materials. Yet an unspoken tension hung between them, their minds lingering on the fleet of Cayen ships anchored off the coast. As they approached the island's main path, a figure appeared between the trees, cloaked in a shimmering fabric that seemed to shift with the sunlight. Instinctively, Lyana raised her hand, her power crackling to life. Eira tightened her grip on her dagger. "Peace," the figure said, raising both hands in surrender. "I am alone, and I come with a message." Lyana studied him, noting his gaunt face and wary eyes. "Speak quickly. Who are you, and why are you here?" The stranger nodded. "My name is Talek. Was a scholar for the Cayen Council and advisor. I defected when I learned of their intentions." He glanced nervously over his shoulder. "They're preparing a strike, Princess. They're not here simply to capture you. They've come to eliminate you." Lyana felt a cold weight settle in her stomach. "Eliminate me? Why would they go to such extremes?" Talek's gaze softened, tinged with regret. "The Council fears what you represent. Your power isn't just unique, Lyana. It's an anomaly in Cayen history. It's a power that could alter the balance of our people's hierarchy. They've declared you a threat to our society, to their carefully preserved structure." Eira stepped forward, her eyes sharp with suspicion. "Why should we believe you? How do we know this isn't some trick to lure us into the Council's hands?" Talek held her gaze, his face solemn. "Because I've already risked everything to warn you. The Council is divided. You see, some of us believe in you, Lyana. Believe that you could bring about a new era for our people, one free from the Council's control." Lyana exchanged a glance with Eira. She wanted to trust Talek's words, but years of betrayal and abandonment had left her wary. Still, a spark of hope flared in her chest. Perhaps not all of the Cayen were her enemies. "Let's say I believe you," she began cautiously. "What do you suggest we do? My power is unstable. I'm still learning to control it. Talek nodded, as if he had expected her hesitation. I can guide you. There are those in the Cayen who are skilled in the arts of energy manipulation. I studied their texts before I fled. With training, I can help you harness the full extent of your abilities. But, he hesitated, his voice dropping, we must act quickly. The Council has sent a signal to a notorious faction of Cayen warriors. They're known as the Umbra Vanguard, and they're closing in on this island as we speak. The name sent a shiver down Lyana's spine. The Umbra Vanguard was a shadowy cadre of elite fighters, rumored to be unstoppable in battle. They were known to carry out the Council's most ruthless orders, especially those deemed unspeakable by ordinary Cayen. Eira cursed softly under her breath. So we're out of time. We either trust him or we don't. Lyana felt the weight of the decision pressing down on her. A part of her wanted to reject Talek's offer, to cling to her independence and strength. But another part, the part that understood the danger they faced, knew they had little choice. She took a deep breath, nodding slowly. All right, Talek, we'll trust you for now. But if you betray us... I understand, he replied, his expression resolute. I am at your mercy, princess. I believe in what you can become. Talek wasted no time. He led them deeper into the island, away from the exposed coastlines and up into the highlands where thick trees and cliffs offered some protection. They reached a hidden grove, surrounded by towering rocks that shielded them from view. We'll begin here, Talek said, motioning for Lyana to stand in the center of the clearing. Your power is tied to your emotions, your memories. That's why it's been so unpredictable. You need to ground it, anchor it within your core so it doesn't surge out of control. Lyana took her position, closing her eyes as she tried to center herself. What do I do? Focus on a memory, Talek instructed. One that makes you feel unbreakable. Something that defines your strength. A memory surfaced, sharp and vivid. The day she had stood before the Cayen Council, just before her exile. The council members had looked down upon her, decreeing her powers dangerous, her very existence a threat. But instead of feeling afraid, she had felt defiant. Even then, stripped of rank and status, she'd known her worth. The memory pulsed within her, steady and fierce. She felt her power respond, like a river flowing through her veins, calm yet unstoppable. That's it, Talek said, his voice low and steady. Hold on to that memory. Let it be the foundation of your strength. Slowly, she opened her eyes. Her hands tingled with energy, but instead of flaring out wildly, it remained steady, a soft blue glow radiating from her skin. She grinned, feeling for the first time a sense of control. Eira, watching from the edge of the clearing, broke into a smile. You're doing it, Lyana. But their triumph was short-lived. A crackle of static broke the silence, followed by a deep, resonant voice that echoed through the grove. Princess Lyana, surrender now, and perhaps we will show mercy. They turned to see a figure standing at the edge of the grove, cloaked in shadow. His armor was matte black, absorbing the light around him. Behind him, more figures emerged, each cloaked in the same dark armor, members of the Umbra Vanguard. Eira drew her weapon, her stance defensive. Talek, you led them here? No. Talek whispered fiercely. I swear, I had no idea they were this close. The lead warrior stepped forward, removing his helmet. His gaze was cold, calculating, and he fixed it on Lyana. Your escape has caused the council much trouble. They have decided that you are no longer worth the risk. Lyana took a step forward, her newly harnessed energy pulsing within her. And I've decided that I'm done letting the council dictate my fate. The Umbra Vanguard warrior smirked, unsheathing a jagged blade that shimmered with dark energy. Then you have chosen death. With a battle cry, the Vanguard charged, their movements swift and deadly. Lyana raised her hands, summoning her power. The energy formed a shield around her, deflecting the first wave of attacks. Eira darted forward, slashing through the gaps in the Vanguard's formation, her blade gleaming in the morning light. Talek, who had no weapon, picked up a fallen branch, swinging it with surprising agility at an advancing warrior. The odds, however, were overwhelmingly against them. For every vanguard they managed to fend off, two more took their place, relentless and merciless. Lyana felt her control slipping as exhaustion began to creep in. She took a deep breath, focusing on her core, remembering Talek's words. Just as another warrior closed in, she released a burst of energy, sending him sprawling to the ground. Her power flared brighter, fueled by her desperation. But the vanguard leader was unfazed. He advanced slowly, his blade glowing with dark energy. "This is the end, princess." Lyana braced herself, ready to make a final stand. But before the leader could strike, a horn sounded in the distance, its call reverberating through the grove. The vanguard leader paused, his expression shifting from determination to frustration. With a last, dark look at Lyana, he signaled his troops. "This isn't over," he warned, sheathing his blade. "We will return." As the horn sounded again, Lyana turned to Eira and Talek, determination burning in her eyes. "Let's find them. If they're fighting the council too, then maybe, just maybe, we're not alone in this." With the sound of the horn guiding them, they set off, moving through the dense foliage. The dawn had brought with it a glimmer of hope, and with newfound allies on the horizon, the battle for freedom had only just begun.